Dreamers everywhere, welcome to the Dueling Disney podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andee Zilmerman.
And I'm the other one of your hosts, Aldee. How you doing?
We are recording this the weekend after the United States presidential election. So I'll let you
you're doing
guess
great,
how I'm
huh?
doing. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I'm doing it so awesome. So
Oh wow, that's really interesting because I'm not. I was really I think our listeners probably know our political inclinations. I, unlike you, was unhappy with the outcome of the election. I know who you voted for, but I did not vote for the person who won. I'm kidding. We
I
both
did
did
not.
not. Yeah. And we thought it was probably important just to note that we're both pretty impacted by the outcome of the election. So it took us a while to kind of like, we're like, all right, let's get together and do this podcast about happy things.
Happy. Well,
Happy things.
maybe it was fate because we were slated to record last weekend actually, and I did not have a voice. Once again, I came home from a
That's
vacation.
funny. You didn't have a voice. Anyway,
Yeah.
go on.
And I still feel that way. I'll always feel that way. Anyway, but no, I came home from our excursion sick, which I've been doing a lot of lately. Makes me not want to travel. Ed's like, why don't you just wear a mask? And I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that too. Anyway, so it was my own dumb fault.
I get sick every time I fly, whether I wear a mask or not. So I just sort of
there was
calculate.
The guy sitting next to me, not Ed, the other guy on the other side. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was like, the snorting he was doing and the coughing he was doing. I mean, it was my own fault. I didn't have a mask. I didn't bring one. It was in my other bag. I brought a different bag and it was in my other bag. Every time he like, and I'm like, oh my God, and sure enough, I did get sick. And, then I lost my voice. So I could not record last weekend, which was the weekend we were still happy and full of hope. And now we are, I don't want to say full of despair. I don't want to say I'm in despair.
Yeah, no.
You are?
Yes, I am despairing. I am slowly coming back. I'm going to send you something that my boss wrote that helped me this morning about grief. And about how grief is really related to how much you love the thing. So maybe that'll help. But yeah, no, I vacillate. I'm not despair 100% of the time, but like the first couple of days, I was despair 100% of the time. Now I'm in despair like 85% of the time.
You're more, I don't know. You are always that kind of person where you are in despair, and I know why you're in despair, and you can kind of see all sides from everything. And I am in the stage of grief. Is revenge a state of grief? I don't know, because a stage of grief, because I am just like, all right, let's see what happens when you get what you asked for. And so, okay, but that's not Disney. Did you have a good Disney? That's not what we're here to talk about. Did you have a good Disney week somewhere in there?
I did, and part of it was because of the circumstance. I needed to find a way to get my mind on other things, and I was just like, okay, I need something that's completely new that is going to take my brain, right? And I had watched the first couple of episodes of Only Murders in the Building on Hulu about a year ago, and I liked it, but you know how it gets. I think I was finishing my doctorate, and I just didn't quite pick it up. And so I went back and I said, oh, okay, let me pick it up. Everybody talks about this show. And I may be the last person to realize this as the show's in season 4. It's really good.
We are the same. We stopped after season 1. We kind of just stopped and haven't picked that up yet. So we're kind of behind that too. Really we need to be catching up on that too. So
well, here's the thing. Like I knew Steve Martin and Martin Short were going to be like, I love those guys, right? And I knew that would be. And I had watched the pilot and I really liked it. And, it wasn't me not watching it wasn't because I didn't like it. I just,
yeah.
But as I've watched it and now I think I'm on like episode 8 of the first season and I got like 2 more before it finishes. The thing that like Selena Gomez is really good.
She really is.
Like,
she really
I
is.
Sort of heard her name a bandied about, but I think she was like a Disney kid when I was an adult. So I don't really know much about her. And just really good actor, really good. Like she's so, which I appreciate, so dry.
Yeah.
Show.
Yeah.
So her humor is just so, she is like bone desert dry.
I will
And the way
say,
she bounces off of those two guys is so good.
okay, not that you'll do this anytime soon, but I did know who she was because my girls were growing up with her on the Disney Channel, and Wizards of Waverly Place, which by the way has a new like reboot, but the original Wizards of Waverly Place, it's her in the middle of her two brothers, and they're all magic, or she's funny. Like, yes, the dryness
really
is funny.
Show. Like, I just did not. I mean, I didn't dislike her. I just hadn't seen her or anything. I had heard her name bandied about. I thought she was one of these, like, and maybe she is. I don't know. I thought she was one of these, like, singers, or there's a whole generation of like Disney Channel kids who
the
became
whole
like
Hannah Montana, Demi Lovato,
like Sabrina Carpenter. Like, I am just like, I didn't watch those shows, so like I know that they're popular. I just don't have any frame of reference for them. So I knew her name, but she's really good. I love her on this show.
Yep, I do too.
She's probably my favorite part of the show. Like, even though I love Steve Martin and Martin Short is, come on. He's an
isn't it funny, like these like really old actors, like if you're older than me, you're really old, but like these old actors with this really young
but that's
person,
what makes it work.
So
like when
great.
I first saw that
so
casting,
great.
I was like, well, that's weird. Like, because I'm like, so she's playing Chevy Chase? I don't get it. And then I realized, oh, that's right. Nobody wants to work with Chevy Chase. But then when you watch the show, I'm like,
forgot about
it's
that.
Not a bug, it's a feature. Like, the fact that she's young and that they're so old is like one of the big things about the show, that you're just like, yeah, like she has to explain like basic
I love it
to them, and they really don't understand half of what she's
so
saying.
So funny.
So yeah, big recommendation. I'm hot take. I'm the first to say it. Only Murders in the Building is pretty good.
Yeah, hot take. Can we go back a few years and have you say that, where it makes sense?
Yeah. People are like, wow, this guy's on the cutting edge. You know what else is really good? The show called Seinfeld. I don't know if you've heard about it.
No. I don't know. It's not really politically correct. You know what I'm saying? Not, there's anything wrong with
George. That. George is getting upset. What about you? How was your Disney week? Were you able to scratch a Disney week out of the wreckage of the United States of America?
Absolutely. And it was the best. It was the best, because it was before we knew the world was ending. Or sorry, the country. I don't need to put this on the whole world, although that'll come later. Anyway, so Tuesday night, I go with my friend and we play trivia at a bar on Tuesday night. And I really like this bar trivia because it starts at 6 and ends by 8. So it's perfect for me. I can still be in bed.
An adult bar, in the very good adult sense that people have to work and go to sleep. So.
Exactly. And I love the guy that does the trivia, the guy that leads it. And Ed comes sometimes. This time he didn't, because he wanted to spend the evening with Rachel Maddow and Steve Bernanke, and that's fine. But it was election night. I needed to get my mind off of it, so I was definitely going to trivia. And let me tell you, trivia night was made for me on Tuesday night. It was just made for me. Usually I don't have a lot to bring to the table, okay? Because it's a mix of everything. And there's really smart people who know the answers to some of these smart questions, and I'm not one of them. I'm there for the ribeye tacos that are amazing. And if
you had me at ribeye tacos,
they're so good. And if there's an 80s film or an 80s music question, I'm your girl. All right. That's it. That's all I got. Anyway, there's 40 questions to trivia. And at the very end, after the 40, there's the bonus round. And so the bonus round, he'll do something like name 6 world capitals that start with R, or something like that, something random, where you have to list a bunch of things. And for every one you get right, it's an extra point. But for every one you get wrong, it's deducted. You're deducted the point. So you don't want to guess on this one. You have to really know. All right. So we're trying for the bonus round. And he says, what are the 6 world locations that host a Disney park? And I was
God.
I was like, oh, come on. Like, everybody's going to know that. That's not a good bonus question. Oh my
And then
gosh.
everybody in the room is like, Anaheim, Orlando, I don't know.
You know
Right?
what? Yeah, and they say LA, even like LA, Orlando, and Paris, and maybe some get
Uh-huh.
Tokyo. And I was like, what? Like in my mind, in my like very shallow, closed-minded mind, I'm like, oh, come on. This for a bonus question. This isn't fair.
Right.
This is like asking what the alphabet is,
Right.
right? Like, and it was so funny. And so yeah, like I put Lake Buena Vista instead of Orlando, and he goes, "Oh, you actually like know what this
Right?
is."
Well, and that's the thing. Like you and I know because we started our friendship with this. Like I always worry about those because I'm like, is the person who's asking the question going to have the right answer? Because I
Oh,
know
right, right,
I've got
right,
the right
right, right,
answer.
right, right, right,
But then
right.
there's people who are like, well, it's Orlando. And you're like, well, technically and actually, right? Like,
That's exactly what happened. And then he said, because he leads the trivia 3 times and we're the last one. So I think he does the first one on a weekend night, the second one he does it on Monday night, and then we're Tuesday night. But so we're the last ones to get the questions. But I said, I think he said I was the only one, we were the only one to get all 6 questions.
Mhm.
I said, you gotta be kidding me. Like, what are people not getting? And I guess people are forgetting Hong Kong,
Hong
Shanghai.
Kong and Shanghai, yeah.
And they're putting LA for Disneyland. He goes, yeah, I took
Right.
LA. I'm like, how could you take LA? It's
You can't
not in
take
LA.
LA. It's
He
not
goes,
even in the same county.
all right, that's what I said. It's not even the same. He's like, oh, it's just, all this big thing. I'm like, no.
You
Anyway,
might as well say
but
San Diego, for God's sake.
that's what I said. I said that same thing. And so anyway, it was really fun. And it was election night, and I almost didn't go because Ed didn't go. But then I was like, no,
Yeah.
I really need to get my mind off of it. And
Mhm.
I was there for that reason. There's like a Bible verse somewhere that says, you were there for such a time as this.
Yeah.
That was my time. That was
You know
my
what? You
time.
should ask them, hey, do you need somebody to do just one night a month, like a Disney trivia contest? And you
I
should.
told there are some trivia companies who
No,
do Disney trivia.
the Disney trivia ones are
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
are. And that's what I'm usually used to playing is the Disney trivia where, I forget everything because I'm like, I do know all this and I don't know where it went. But that
And you're
was
like,
very
I only
fun.
know the parks. I've never seen any movies.
Well, we did win trivia that night, so that was fun too.
Nice.
So I felt good about that. Anyway, and then as we were leaving the bar, we looked at the election map and we're like, "Ooh, this doesn't look good." But then everybody's like, "Oh, the red mirage," and then we're like, "This is looking less miragey." And
Right.
then you wake up the next morning, you're like, "Oh, life
And
sucks. People are dumb." And
the bottom falls out of the world. But that's okay because before that,
yes,
we went on a family trip plus Al, plus a couple of boyfriends to Walt Disney World in Orlando or Lake Buena Vista, Florida.
We did. We went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and the scariest part of that Halloween party was how freaking crowded it was from Monday night and how I don't need to go to one of those parties again.
I mean, it's mostly because my standard is Disneyland. I didn't find it that crowded.
Are you serious?
I didn't think it was that crowded. Compared to Disneyland?
I don't know. I haven't been to Disney's Halloween Oogie Boogie Bash, so I don't know.
Oogie Boogie is crazy crowded. Like, we didn't even bother trying any of the rides when we took Jake to me and my sister and my brother-in-law and my nephew Jake. Like,
you're right. You're right.
It was crazy.
You're right.
But it was fun. And but to be fair, we mostly went for Jake to get to do trick-or-treating, which we spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just buy him $100 worth of candy. How about that?
Yeah.
I didn't find it crowded, but you did. I don't want to negate your experience.
No, yeah, don't negate my frustration. No, okay, I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna take back what I said. It wasn't okay. No, let me take back what I said. It wasn't crowded. We were able to get on some attractions. We were definitely able to get some trick or treat candy for those who wanted it. I felt, and this is always the case, and so I shouldn't be surprised, but the feeling of when everybody crowds together for the fireworks or the parades, that part That part gets to me. And
It's
so
not your
maybe I let
change.
that affected me. And we found a quiet place to go during the fireworks. So that was good. And we got to meet with Bruno and Mirabelle all by ourselves.
We can't talk about that.
Oh, we can't talk about him.
Yeah,
That's true. So
yeah.
you're right. And we
Although
were
we
able
have
to get
pictures we'll put
on.
up on our social media. Yeah.
We have put them up, Al. If you're on social media, you would know that we put them up.
I don't listen to this show.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
look at anything that I spend my time doing, but that's okay. I'm not hurt a lot. So okay, so you're right. So there's just a couple of things that were just buggy that night, and I happen to be tired, and I happen to be probably not feeling good.
But it was also, you guys had arrived when, like 2 or 3 days before?
Yeah.
I can't
And
remember.
You arrived that day.
I had I that morning I was on a cruise ship in Miami, and then I was in the Magic Kingdom that night. But the reason I say that is because I had spent 3 days like just lazing around a ship, and you guys had already done a couple of days at Disney. So one of the things that I knew this before, but I learned on this trip is days at Disney don't get progressively easier; they get progressively harder. So for you to be tired on your third day, I think, at Disney makes total sense, right? It's not like day one where you have all the adrenaline of just arriving. Day 3, and you're trying to make it through the night. Because we went in at 4, and it was open till midnight, I think.
It was, and there's something I want to tell people that I didn't realize. We thought we would. You're right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I interrupt you all the time. You're right. 4 to midnight, and I wanted to get there at 4 because that was going to be our Magic Kingdom day anyway. Here's what frustrated me. My idea of what was going to happen that night didn't happen, and therefore I was frustrated because of it. So like we didn't eat when I wanted to eat because all the restaurants shut down between 5 and 7, or 6 and 5:30 and 7.
Right. While they were doing the transition between sort of the
And so like when I was hungry and when I wanted to eat, we couldn't eat. And then when it was time to eat, we didn't know where to eat or what to eat. And that was frustrating. And some people want to go on some rides and some the other. That's a normal frustration when you go with a lot of people. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad we got to go on Tiana's.
Tiana's was really cool. I mean, and again, like, it's all relative, right? Because especially at a Magic Kingdom day, more than anything else, I'm going to compare it to Disneyland. And sort of my experience was, we got in from 4 to 6. It was still crowded because it was not only the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween attendees, but the regular park attendees were still open. So once those folks cleared out, I thought it was super, like, not crowded. And like during the fireworks and the parade, we found a little sort of bench where nobody was around, and I'm sitting there going, "You would never. There is no part of Disneyland that there's nobody around."
You're right. You're right.
And we were just hanging out. And I will say, like, we pushed through pretty hard, from going from 4 to midnight, because we are old and we don't do that anymore. You and I used to go at rope drop through not just midnight, but 1, because the fact that we know that is because at midnight, all the attractions shut down, but they keep Main Street open till 1. And we would just be like, we're going to stay until the last minute they kick us out, which you and I have done multiple times. And now from 4 to midnight, like, after we got off Tiana's, you guys were going to hang out for the parade. And I was like, I'm done. I got to go.
I know.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And I just went back, and it still took me an hour to get back to my hotel. So my experience of it, and we can talk about this more later, my experience of it was less around, like, once we got to the parks, I thought everything was fine. But the transportation, and when I talk about my resort, the time you have to account for transportation from point A to point B is a lot. And particularly from somebody from the Disney California resort, like that. And I've been to Disney World multiple times, but for some reason this time that really got to me, was like getting from point A to point B anywhere is an hour.
Let's talk about that for a second, because one thing I do want to mention. Oh, I have to mention two things. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot one thing that has nothing to do with Disney whatsoever. I'm a teacher of 7th graders.
I am aware.
I promised my 1A, we have A days and B days. I promised my period 1A day that I would do a shout out for them. I almost forgot. They're so great, you guys. They're really good kids. And middle school, that's hard to say. I'm doing a shout out for them.
Well, shout out to 1A, but what about the 1B? They don't get a
1B,
shout out?
oh, they're great too. I mean, actually, 1B is really great. 1A, particularly,
It
let me
sounds
tell
to
you
me
why
like
they
1A
get
is
the.
a little bit better.
No, it's not that they're
Like,
better, but they have
what
to
I
deal.
am hearing you say is you like 1A more. So if 1A is
Let me
listening,
tell you though.
I want
Wait.
you to understand that's what she's saying. She
And if
just texted
1B
this
is
to me on the
listening,
side.
I'm in
And if
trouble.
1B is listening, she doesn't really think much of you. Is what I'm saying.
That is so not true, but I had to tell you why, because I am a different person in 1A, because 1A is the first class that gets my lesson, right? And so they're the first one that gets taught. So if something doesn't work, I know it's with 1A. And so by the time you get to 6B, right, I'm like, oh yeah, I've done this like 4 times. I already know what I'm doing. But 1A, you get brand new trial for everything. And they're so easygoing and low flow. Like, it's cool. Okay, so I had to shout out to them. So shout out to 1A.
I understand.
Nothing to do
If
with
we're
anything.
kidding around, you like all of your classes equally.
They know that's not even true. They know that's a lie.
Wink.
Anyway, okay, so that was the other shot. And the other thing I have to do before you start talking about transportation is just tell you, some of you know that the Halloween party was a big deal to Annika, my youngest daughter.
Oh my God, yes.
How we dressed was very important to her. And I really didn't get the why until that night. And I'll tell you why. We dressed, if you don't already know, as Disney villains, as if they were stuck in the 80s or the 90s, 1980s, 1990s. Okay, it was very obscure, very weird. We did it. We pulled it off. It was great. I don't know if you did. I did not get a lot of compliments or even comments or anything from guests. However, every cast member that we ran into was very excited about our costumes. And it strikes me that Annika, as a cast member, probably sees the regular costumes day in and day out, but when you go a little bit different, which is what she was going for. And so now, hearing all the compliments from the cast members instead of the guests, now I get it. Now I get why she was so funny, like, particular.
I don't know that anybody got my costume. I don't think one person got it.
People did. I even showed my classes when I got back how we were dressed up. They got it. They knew.
Did they?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You had it like on your shirt.
I know, but the whole night, nobody said anything.
Well,
which was hard because I was wearing some very uncomfortable
but
Michael Jordan Air Jordans, man.
Those looked uncomfortable. Yeah, just a lot of weird things in and out, whatever. We can talk about that later. But anyway, so I wanted to tell those things. But you were right about the transportation. It's not something I didn't know, but it's also kind of an irritating thing.
I know. Yeah. Like, in my head, I know. But I think, and this is part of it is most of the time I travel solo, right? And so when I'm traveling with others and they're not staying where I'm staying, it's sort of that extra added, and it's not like me complaining, it's that extra added, okay, I have to think about, if I'm meeting you guys at 9 at Animal Kingdom, that means I've got to be on the bus by 8 to make sure that I'm getting there. But that doesn't necessarily mean the bus is going to take an hour. It means that I have to give an hour for the bus. And that bus could take anywhere from a half hour to get there, and then I'm waiting for a half hour, or 59 minutes to get there, and I'm just getting there like right after you guys, right? And so that's just an extra calculation, particularly when you're not staying in the same area, that if I had it to do over again, I would have chosen a resort geographically closer to you all.
I didn't even think about that.
It just didn't occur to me, right? Like, because originally I looked, because you guys were staying in
Animal Kingdom, Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Animal Kingdom Lodge. And there wasn't any availability there, and it was you guys were
able to never pay for that.
No, God, no.
Even if there was availability, you wouldn't. But I would imagine. Out.
I mean, I haven't looked for a while, that there was probably more, like a moderate resort somewhere in the Animal.
Yeah, Coronado Springs is right next door.
Right. I would have chosen that one just because it would have cut down. Like, it would have saved me hours. over the course of the 4 days.
I didn't think about it.
Yeah, I didn't think about it either. It never occurred to me. And it's part of Disney planning, but it's such a rare thing when you're going on a trip, but you're not all staying in the same sort of location, right? So that's just something I would have thought more about.
How did you like Riverside? Oh, sorry.
I really liked. I was just going to say I really liked Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I liked the most about Riverside was that the water transportation took me right from Riverside to Disney Springs,
mm-hmm.
which helped with the thing I didn't like about Riverside. And quite honestly, this is probably true at, I don't know that there's a resort that it's not true at, but so the food options at Disney Riverside was the food court,
mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was the food options was the food court, and then a very nice sit down restaurant, which
Boat
took
rights.
reservations.
Mm-hmm.
Boat rights, which everybody raved about, and I didn't get a chance to eat at. But boat rights is only open in the evenings, and you need a reservation to get there. So if the only real food option was the food hall, which I liked, the food was fine, but the coffee, and I just really, as listeners of our podcast know, coffee is important to me. The coffee wasn't great. It was serviceable, right? It wasn't great.
Starbucks.
And it wasn't Starbucks. It wasn't Joffrey's. And so I would catch the water transportation to Disney Springs, hit up Starbucks or hit up something. And even I wouldn't even say the coffee wasn't great, but it's just a variety when you're staying somewhere for 4 days.
Yeah.
Like to eat the same thing for breakfast every day. Because once we got the lunch and dinner, we were out and about, and that was fine.
You could have gone, it would have been a walk, but you could have gone to French Quarter. Port Orleans French Quarter.
Yeah, I mean, I could have caught, like, it would have been a walk, or I could catch the water taxi over, right?
Oh, right, that too, yeah.
Right, because that's the stop on the water. Yeah, I could have, but again, because transportation was taking, I had to account so much for transportation, like, the timing of it was, like, it would, especially for breakfast, it would take me an hour just to get to where I was meeting up with you guys, and then I would have to maybe account for yet another hour if I had to go somewhere else to eat.
So one thing you didn't do that we did do that we talked about on our last episode in the packing thing was get groceries delivered to you.
Yeah.
And so we ate breakfast in our room.
Mm-hmm. And if I had to do it over again, I 100% would do that. If for nothing else, the biggest thing is just some water.
Yeah.
Here's a weird thing about Disney. Getting a cool drink of water is really difficult. Especially in mid-Florida heat. I spent more money. I looked at my receipts. I spent more money on bottles of water than any other single item.
See, I hate that. That's why I bring that's why I have my refillable one and then buy water or go to Disney and get the tap water and just drop it in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like buying bottled water. There's something about it. I just
don't like it. The waste. But I didn't have my.
I know.
Let's be clear. I got about 52 different reusable bottled waters that somehow never actually make it into my travel bag.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we just do it. That's just what I have, and so I get that. I get
Riverside was really cool. It was gorgeous, and the food court, the food at the food court was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you eat the same thing for 4 days straight. It's just really pretty. The like everywhere else at Disney, the service is like tremendous. When I was getting my bags to go back to the airport at the end of the trip, I think I had a 10 on me, and I had like one bag that I had saved. So I asked the guy if he had any change, and he didn't. And I was like, "Oh, $10." He was like, "Buddy, don't give me $10 for one bag." Like he was like, no. He looked at my face and was like, "That's too much." And I'm like, "What hotel is that gonna happen?"
Yeah, that's true too.
Because I was like, I mean, I don't want to be that guy where it's just like, these guys did a solid for me, and he was like, no, I wouldn't. He's like, I wouldn't take $10 to hand you one bag.
That's funny. That's funny.
What hotel are they gonna do? Like anybody else would be like, Thank you.
That's why you gotta go into the Disney app and do the cast compliments. You have to do the cast member compliment when you go in there and say how
And
great they are.
compliment. Yeah. I should do that, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah. So you got to get their name. I know once you do it, then you like look at their name and where they're from, and you know, you do all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we stayed at Animal Kingdom. Another learning experience for us. We've been there a couple times before. The first time we were there, we stayed in Jumbo House, the main hotel area. The second time,
Jumbo.
yeah, the second time we
all the 80s kids just went, yeah.
The second time we were there, we were at Kidani Village, which is the Disney Vacation Club resort. And then this third time we were there, we stayed in Jumbo at one of the newly renovated Disney Vacation Club rooms, where they just basically took some hotel rooms and put some features in there to make them Disney Vacation Club. They're actually the value rooms because they're not as big as the ones in Kidani Village. When I had first booked that room, it was just going to be me and Ed, so I wasn't worried about it. But then, as you know, our party grew, and so more people were shoved into the little space. That's okay. I thought being in Jumbo would be better because it's right by Mara, the food court, and by all of the amenities. Emma actually said she preferred staying in Kidani Village. I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised by that because Animal Kingdom is like far away from Animal Kingdom Lodge is far away from everything except for Animal Kingdom, the park. So Kidani is even further out. So it's the furthest you can get from any property. And anyway, it was interesting. I personally, that was my favorite part of the whole trip, was just watching the animals. I could have done that the whole time and been happy.
I came over and visited you guys in your place, and I mean, I knew that that's what happens when you stay near Animal Kingdom, but it's still like my jaw still dropped where I was like, but there's giraffes and they're like right there.
Giraffes and zebras. I was like, give me the giraffes every morning. Saw the giraffes come to get I just loved it. And I loved the flamingos, and that I could have done for a week. And so actually Ed and I were talking about doing a Disney World trip where we actually don't go into the parks during regular park time. Like if it had to be for a party or Moonlight Madness, which we'll talk about in a little bit, then that could be the exception. But not going to the parks during the regular day, how would that be? How would that be?
You would love that. You would.
I would.
Like,
Ed would love it too. If he didn't have to go into a park, he would be thrilled. Let's talk about. Well, you want to talk about Drawn to Life first? You want to talk about Moonlight Madness?
Well, okay. So when was it? Thursday night, the last evening of the trip. You all had access to a special event for Disney Vacation Club owner, and it was just a pain for me to join, not least of which because of my personality and my being. So while you
didn't want to go, you didn't want to go.
I didn't want to go. No, I didn't.
You could say that. It's fine because at the time I didn't want to go.
Animal Kingdom isn't my
favorite. Okay, I love it, but whatever.
You know, I mean, we can talk about that later. But so instead, while you guys were having family time, I went to Disney Springs because the last trip we made, you guys were able to see this show before I got there, and I was really jealous. And so this time I went and saw the Cirque du Soleil show, Drawn to Life, at Disney Springs, which was amazing. And here's a little secret when people travel solo. I hadn't planned on getting it. I got a ticket like either that's morning of or the night before. I can't remember. And when you're one person, you can get really good seats to some places because like it's just whatever seats left, it's gonna go if it's a single seat. So I got like dead center, like second row for not very much money. It was a really good show. It was really quite inspiring. And literally every time I see a Cirque du Soleil show, it's the same thing. We're about 15 minutes in, my jaw drops to like this, and I'm like this for the next 2 hours. Oh my God. Human beings are incredible. I can't believe this is happening right in front of me. And it was, for folks who haven't seen it, it's a Disney themed Cirque du Soleil show. So it is very different from what you might see in the parks. but also very different from what you might see in a traditional Cirque du Soleil show. And it's
Yeah.
very audience interactive. They brought, which I thought was cool, they brought kids up on the stage, you know, sort of in the pre-show, and kids did drawings, and they were able to put the drawings on the screen and animate them for the kids. It was just really cool. It was
Yeah.
just really, really cool. I highly recommend it if you have the means. It is choice.
Well, I will say if you have the means, because we did not get the cheap single person in the front row seats. And so it is a lot of money, right? It's over $100 a ticket. And so if you're going to take a large family, that's something to keep in mind. But I really, if you're going to splurge for a Cirque du Soleil show, it's a great show.
The one to splurge for. Yeah.
Yeah,
really
definitely with kids too.
Yeah.
For
My
sure.
ticket wasn't $100. It was
no.
in the 80s. Yeah.
We paid so much.
And you guys saw it like right after it opened too. So
then we did see it pretty quick. Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah,
that's true too.
But but while I was there, you all were at Animal Kingdom for Moonlight Madness, is what
Moonlight Madness is what it's called. It's a Disney Vacation Club perk where certain nights of the year and certain parks, this is in California too, they'll do it in California. They will get the park from 7 to midnight. Again, just like the Not So Scary Halloween party. No, I lied. It's not till midnight. It's only until 10. But it's free. Okay. All you have to do is like sign up for it. So everybody wants it. So it's one of those things where you have to get on early in the morning and log in and hope that you get your spot. We were lucky.
Like going to Comic-Con.
It is, except so I got lucky. I just got lucky. I don't know how we got in. It was a late added date, and it just so happened to be at a time we were already there. So it's not like I had to say, okay, can we get in? Can we get a room at this time? Can we do that? It was just fate. And it was free. And you could get in at 4, I believe, and enjoy the park until the actual event started at 7. We did not. So let me set the stage for you. We were all tired. I had already done a nighttime activity on Monday night, and I wasn't all the way excited about it. Looking back,
we had
I
done
see
a
that
different park during the day earlier that day, hadn't we? What did we
Hollywood
done?
Studios.
Hollywood Studios. Yeah.
I was not in the mood to go at all. And Ed was definitely not in the mood. Ed was like, no, I don't want to go. See if Al wants to go. You guys have a podcast. He should go and see it. Al wasn't really excited about going either. So part of me was just going to say, all right, fine. I had to be there to sign the kids in because I made the reservation. And it could only be the people that were on the reservation of your room. So luckily I had put Annika on the reservation of our room, even though she wasn't staying there, just so she could have a key and get into our room whenever she needed to. So that was just by luck that I put her on there. And so it could only be the 5 of us, right? And so Al would have had to be Ed if we went. Okay. That being said, I was tired, I was grouchy, and I was ready to go home. And so we went at the last minute with the understanding that why don't we just go sign the kids in? We'll go in for a little bit and then leave. We ended up staying the whole time, and even my husband had a smile on his face, which I don't think he had a smile on his face the whole week we were there. So that was good. Literally, that is the uncrowded that I was looking for. That is the back in the days where you went on a weekday in the middle of school and nobody came to the park. That brought me back to the crowd level of yore, right? Like where we were kids and you could just go on a Wednesday and have the parks to yourself. And that's what I really, really felt. We got there at 7. We weren't going to get there earlier. We got there at 7. And by 7, I put it on my watch. I think it was 7:27. We had already been on Dinosaur once and Everest. Why am I? Expedition Everest. Twice. And we had already had a snack. And as I took a picture of my watch at 7:27, the other people, not me, were getting a drink at the bar. So that's how quickly it could go. I mean, everything was walk on. Everything was lit up. Everything was empty. And you got with this Moonlight Madness, not only did you get your admission, but you got 3 snack coupons, and
Mhm.
those were good for any snack on the Disney dining plan. And so like we got like I don't know, egg rolls and chicken wings or whatever, and ice cream was free all night, so they had their ice
That's
cream
cool.
things all night, which that's Ed's favorite treat in the world, right? So he's like getting his Mickey ice cream sandwich. I was very pleasantly surprised. I'm a little
Mhm.
sad Al didn't do it with us, but I know he was having fun at Drawn to Life. They did special projections on the Tree of Life, like movie
Oh,
project.
that's
It
really
was
cool.
just, it was beautiful, and we were able to just get on the attractions. There was no line, like everything was walk on. And so I wanted to talk too a little bit. One of the things that was walk on was Flights of
Mhm.
Passage in Animal Kingdom.
I was
Oh,
gonna
and they
ask
had
you, did you do that again?
we did do that again because it was basically walk on. I did want to say too, there were, and this reminded me of the Disney days of yore as well. They had two spots in the park, one over by Discovery Island, and the other one was by Pandora. Or yeah, Pandora, where they had DJs and people were dancing, and it just reminded me of old Disney parties. Like I loved
Mm.
it.
Mhm.
So that made me happy. Okay, so yes, we did go on Pandora and we did do Flights of Passage. So that reminded me though of when we went, you and
Mhm.
me and Annika went on Flights of Passage one day. And I think I'm done talking about Moonlight Mountains. I'm gonna make a Instagram video too, just showing all the highlights of the
Yeah.
day. So that's coming. But to go back a little bit, we did a couple of attractions, which one of them we knew we had an alternative to, but not the other one. So I'm gonna let you kind of tell them what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. So we were going on uh is it Flights of Passage?
Flights of
The
Passage,
Avatar?
yeah.
And here's my thing with the Avatar piece at Animal Kingdom. I think it is a brilliant land. I think it's gorgeous. I just am like, Avatar? It's almost like an Arrested Development with Michael George Michael's girlfriend, her. Like it's just my thing of like Avatar, that beloved Disney classic Avatar, right? But it's a really good ride, Avatar Flight of Passage. So I think the last time we were there, I rode it, and it was fine. I am a man of size. I have over the years fluctuated in size. I had how long ago was this? About 6 or 7 years ago.
Has it been
I've
that
had
long?
weight loss. Yeah, it's been a while. Weight loss reduction surgery.
Yeah.
So I am not even remotely as heavy as I was at the top. I'm about 130 pounds down from my heaviest, but I am still a man of girth, which but it's interesting. So when you go on some of these rides, not only Flight of Passage, but Tron, which we should talk about. And when I was at Universal once, I think there's a Harry Potter ride where you ride brooms and all that kind of thing. Some rides aren't built for bigger people, and Universal, I wasn't really pleased with how they managed it. I actually think the way Disney manages this is really cool. So I went in to get on a Flight of Passage, and as a person of size, you're always. Here's the thing for those folks who feel emboldened to give advice to larger people about sort of how they fit into the world. You don't. We know. Like if you're on an airplane and somebody big is sitting next to you and you're thinking how are they going to fit, believe me, they've already thought about it. They're not unaware. Okay, you are not surprising someone is saying, hey, I don't know if you know, but you might need a seatbelt extender. They know. Okay, they know. We know, right? You're not going to give us. You're not going to be the first person. I'm 55 years old, but you're the first person to know. So anyway, but here's the interesting thing. The piece where in Flight of Passage I had the difficulty wasn't like my gut, like that part locked in. It was my calves. The way it locks in is there's a thing that comes down on your back to sort of secure you to the thing because it's a big moving simulation, right? And the thing that locks down on your legs. Like the thing for my back locked in just fine, but they couldn't actually like lock it in behind my calves, right? Which are, not to brag, really it's muscle there. Like, I got a lot of fat other places, but my calves are pretty much just muscle. largely that muscle is from carrying around the rest of the fat, but they couldn't lock it in. So
The silver lining.
they were very kind, and I think the way they did this was so thoughtful and so like, Disney knows what they're doing. They just sort of say, "Hey, can you step aside?" And because I was the first one to say, "Hey, I'll jump off. I want to make sure everybody else can do it." Like, again, understanding that as a large person, like, I get it. Some stuff I'm not going to be able to do. Like, I'm not upset about that. That's not a surprise to me. I'm not going to be yelling and screaming. But they just sort of slowly said, "Hey, sir, why don't you come on over here and we'll do something for you." And then I got off while everybody else continued on the ride, and they said, "Hey, look, we're not going to be able to go on this ride, but to sort of compensate, we're going to give you, what was it? Three? Two fast passes to you and to everyone in your party to any other, sort of ride in the parks for the next 24 hours. Except, Guardians of the Galaxy, like the big ones." Except Guardians of the Galaxy and Flights of Passage, which I thought was like, well, this is the ride I'm actually on. But Flights of Passage, but pretty much anything else. And then I just waited for everybody else to get off, and then they went ahead and scanned you and everybody else's badges, and we had a ton of fast passes.
Yeah.
So I will say, as a large person, I felt very taken care of. I felt not even remotely shamed. I felt like that they were thoughtful. And again, for me, it's not about like pretending that something like this isn't a concern. It's about how you manage it and how you treat people when, not everybody's going to fit into sort of the standard size things. And as I said before, as a heavy person, like, I know that. I'm full aware of it, and I'm not even mad about it. It's just the way it is. I also am very confident in who I am and how I exist in the world. So you're not going to offend me by saying, "Hey, it's not going to work out for you on this attraction." But you guys were there. What were your thoughts on that?
We were talking about this earlier. 10 years ago might have felt differently, but because I know you and because I know your feelings and because I know you're comfortable with who you are, I wasn't worried for you. I more of was like, you were with us. We knew it might be a problem. And
yeah, we had clocked it before we went in. Yeah.
And it was, and they had a great place for you to wait. And I will tell you that the fast passes that they gave you were very unexpected. I did not expect that, and I don't know if you did either. Maybe some people do.
No, I didn't expect that, and I wouldn't have if they didn't provide them. I would have been fine with it. Like, I thought that was a really nice thing to do.
I really do, and so I thought that they handled that very well. Which is, when I complain about Disney, and I will complain about Disney, this is one of the things
we look
that
at
no matter what happens, this is the nice thing to do. Whereas with Universal, they're like, sucks to be you. Kind of like the difference between, we fly Alaska Airlines all the time. Anytime something happens with Alaska, anytime, without us expecting it, something nice happens, whether it's $100 credit to our email or whatever, something nice happens without us expecting it. Whereas when I fly United and I'm screwed, I'm just screwed, no matter how much.
United's not doing nothing for you.
No, I digress.
But the other thing is, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say, we should also talk about our experience on Tron.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tron actually prepared for something like this. And so because you have to sit on like a motorcycle type apparatus, the light cycle, both for people of size and for people
mobility impairments,
mobility issues. Yeah, exactly. If we could have stayed long enough for my parents to go on, if we could have done that, I would have had them go do what we did, not get in the light cycle, but they have like a car, kind of it's
more of a traditional roller coaster seat.
I loved it. I might have
great.
I knew Al was gonna. Well, I didn't know, but I had a feeling.
No, but the thing that Tron Light Cycle does is they have one of the seats out front that you
Yeah.
can kind of jump on and see if you're going to fit.
Yeah.
And so you're prepared. So it's not like it's a shock or you're like, if you don't want to do it or whatever. Now, the one thing I will say that I thought was funny and the cast members can't do anything about is I was trying to get on it just to sort of test if I was going to make it. But kids kept jumping on it in front of me because it was like, oh, cool. Let me jump on this thing, which I just thought was hilarious. Because I'm like, actually, no, okay. No, you can go.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to
I watched you.
Right?
I watched you.
But kid after kid kept coming up. And the cast member kind of locked eyes with me. And I think he was like, okay, do you want me to? And I was like, kind of, no, don't worry about it. Like, it's kids, right? Like, I get mad at people who get mad at kids for being kids, right?
Oh
Kids
man, no. Had I not been where I was, and if I were right with you, I would be like, no, wait. I would have gone in full on teacher mode. No, it is not your turn. You wait right there. We'll let you know when it's your turn. I would have done that. But riding the car with you, I was actually very happy to experience it because I've experienced both now, and I will tell you that I enjoyed the car very much. I don't think that you were missing out on anything.
I thought that ride was cool. Like when we went, I wanted to ride the new stuff, Tron Light Cycle and Guardians of the Galaxy. Both were awesome. I will say I give the edge to Guardians of the Galaxy because it's new and it's different and it's just really cool. But Tron Light Cycle was awesome. Although, as I kept saying, Tron Light Cycle is basically Space Mountain. I mean,
it's outside. It's fun.
But it's outside. It's really cool.
And Al. Here's what. No, I don't like Space Mountain at Walt Disney World. I think that it's basically Space Mountain at California. I think that's what Tron is. It's like more like the California one.
No, you're right. Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that.
Hate the Disney World one, and I went on it again. When we got off
the Disney World one, you were like, "Oh, my back hurts." You did not like it.
No, I hate it, and I should have listened to myself. It was the fear. It was the FOMO. The FOMO got me. I should have listened to myself. They did a special Halloween thing where they shut off all the lights, and then you went on it. And if you don't know, like the Disney World Magic Kingdom Space Mountain is not like the California one. It is jerky. It feels rickety. It's icky. I don't like it. I like smooth. I need smooth. Not
the California one is much smoother. I will say.
The seats getting into the seats are like Matterhorn for the Space Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Why did they even do that? The California ride was before the Magic Kingdom ride. Why did they even change it? I don't know, but whatever.
Good question. I do not know. I do not
Whatever. I do not know either. So, actually, the ride
Anything
vehicles for... I could go on about my... Anyway, Tron, very good. Even if you are not a person of size or you have no mobility issues, I highly recommend the car. I like the car.
Yeah. I thought the car was great. Like, even if you don't need it, just do it. It's so much more relaxing.
I will say that I was very well, Al knows this. I didn't want to record this weekend. Life is different now in the United States. But this happiness, this is why the Disney works for me, because Disney can pull me out. Yeah, Disney causes me some grief too, but most of the time, talking about Disney makes me smile. And so that was a good thing today. It's good that we recorded today.
Good.
If you want more stuff, follow us on social media. When I get it up there, it is on Dueling Disney at Facebook or on Facebook and Instagram. Also on Threads, we are at Dueling Disney. That is all we got for now. I heard the mass exodus of X that we have exodused a long time ago. And
a long time.
Yeah, so not sure what else that holds. But for right now, we're on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, where you're watching us now.
To all that come to this happy place, welcome. Dueling Disney is your podcast. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Dueling Disney is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.